30 yards max. Welcome to Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. Today is December 10th. You can really hear I-80 to the north of us this morning. It's pretty still. You can hear a long ways. Yesterday was super windy, and not too far from us on the Platte, there's a number of duck blinds, and those guys were getting a lot of shots yesterday, but not much going on this morning. We've heard a couple shots. So the ducks aren't flying, but the semi-trucks are definitely on the move. We can hear them. This setup is deep in the cedar trees, and I'm guessing this is a bedding area of sorts. I've constructed like a line of brush, maybe 100 yards long or so, that goes through the cedar thicket to my right. And when we leave, I'm going to show you that a little bit better. He made a hole or two in there for the deer to go through, and we've been talking about, how do you funnel deer in this flat type of terrain with almost no variation in cover. I mean, you've got the waterways, but they made a little artificial funnel down here. So the two shooting lanes that I've got in front of me cover a heavy trail that leads toward that opening. And it does look like it's been used quite a bit. It's pretty beat down. So I'm guessing that during the rut, at least, there was a lot of movement through there. We're going to sit for a few hours this morning, and the afternoon hunt, we're going to get back on that hayfield. Well, I guess we haven't sat on it yet, but I think we're going to sit near the edge of that and just see if deer are coming out into the open. So that's the plan for today. Got a little bit of a late start. I won't say we got a late start, but it took a while getting these stands situated up in this tree. So it's probably, I don't know, at least 45 minutes into legal shooting time. We haven't seen anything yet, but this is the kind of spot where deer could move at any time during the day. Do I shoot him? No. I was definitely tempted on that buck. I'm sure he's just, 2 or 3 year old deer, but they look a lot bigger when you have really no frame of reference and they come out of nowhere and they're walking through an opening and it's so thick around, they look like they're twice as big as they are. But he definitely caught us flat-footed, which we kind of expected that, as thick as it is here. But I was able to stop him, and I think Ethan got some footage of him then, but he could have easily made it all the way through and we wouldn't even have been able to film him. It's thick. It's kind of cool though. I mean, he was out cruising. I mean, he's not bedding down and he's not going to food. He's just out walking. So there must be a little bit of rut-related mentality with these bucks yet. stand is about 15 yards away that direction. This is where that buck was at. He came through here and turned and went that way. And if you look at this, there's a ton of trails all over the place back in here. I mean, heavy trails. And when I was talking with Ev, this is just a little knob, a little ridge, about 3 feet of elevation change. He said the bucks love to travel on that during the rut, but there's a heavy trail right down it. But what they did, somebody, Ev and whoever else hunts here, they constructed kind of a barrier of brush on the other side of that stand, and they made a few little holes in it where the deer could pass through. So we're going to follow this trail and kind of see how that structure has affected the way the deer move. I mean, you got habitat like this where it's just, you know, basically generic, continuous. You know, it's not like there are a lot of natural breaks. So you got to do something in order to get the deer to go a certain way. So that was one of the things that they did. So let's take a look and see how well that worked. I bet this was really awesome during the rut with all these trails crisscrossing right here. This had to have been a hot spot. We're set up for the afternoon hunt. To my left, to the south, is a grass hayfield. To my right is the sanctuary on the other side of that creek. It's about 30 yards to the bank of the creek. So anything coming down on this side of the creek hopefully will funnel past. I've got a little opening in my blind right here that I can shoot to that spot. And then out front, if anything comes out of the sanctuary and comes straight across out into that hayfield, I've got, I mean, really it's unlimited distance I could shoot, but I'm hoping it's, 30 yards and in. Blind is a little rough. We didn't have quite the right building materials. With a little forethought, a couple of T-posts and a piece of wire, we'd have been in business here, but we propped up a bunch of old dead stuff and cut down a couple of cedar trees and propped them in here. And I think as long as I can stay low and down until the last second, I think we'll be okay. I've got 2 holes to shoot through. The trick is going to be for Ethan to get any footage. It's going to be a little bit challenging, just trying to film this. If we had it to do over again, Ev said he had a blind. I just didn't want to mess with a blind. But if we'd brought the cloth blind out here, the fabric blind, we could have set that up and then just piled cedar branches against it, and the deer probably would have completely ignored it. That's what we should have done. Then it would be, the shots would be a lot more controlled because we could shoot out the windows. But this, for what that would lack in organization and common sense, this approach makes up for in, hopefully, creativity and, no, that's it.
Just creativity.
At best. The problem I'm going to have here, I forgot my face mask, and the sun is going to be beating in here when it gets close to setting, and it's going to be shining off my face, so I'm going to have to keep the hood up you know, both hoods, or at least the go to silence hood, and kind of hunker in behind the hood until the last second. That was a mistake. We've got a couple hours now until the deer are going to start moving. We're going to go over all the different shots and rehearse how we're going to film it, get these shots, then we should be good to go. Like I said, if nothing else, it'll be interesting and a creative and fun way to spend our last evening here. Anything to add, Ethan?
No, not today.
This setup has got him speechless.
It's a little spike buck.
Comes another one. So there's only one left. Are you on it? You're still on one. Okay. Let's see. What's that? That's a big deer, though, for this trip. We're down to the last half hour. We just had, I don't know, 4 or 5 bucks and a couple of does down in the creek. They were on the other bank and then down in the water. They went west. I think that they should start crossing pretty soon. I'm not sure where they'd be going other than to come across. Another buck. Where's he at?
It's just to the left of that opening, or the other, where we just saw the doe. I couldn't tell, like a decent buck.
Was he looking like he was going to cross?
He was angling this way.
Okay. Better get ready. That's him. Gosh, that heron scared me. We never saw where that buck went. It's just a non-stop parade of deer on the other side of the creek. Ethan thought the buck was angling toward us, and he thought it was a pretty decent deer. If that's the case, he could pop out to the west through these trees. That'd be perfect. That's an easy shot for me the way I'm sitting. Left to right, downstream. All right, you gotta slide back to the right now whenever you can, because I won't be able to shoot from here if we get pinned. What's that? On the other side. There's nothing behind him, is there? We got far enough away from the field that we could stop and do our wrap-up for the hunt without spooking anything. That worked out better than I had hoped. If that buck that jumped the fence had been, you know, a shooter buck, we'd have been in the chips. We had some deer that gave us the stare down, but we didn't spook anything. So I thought that was pretty good. I was a little bit nervous that all we were going to do was just make a mess of it, but we didn't make too big of a mess of it. Well, that's a wrap on our trip to Nebraska. I'm a little bit sad to leave. We've had fun here. I've had some good bucks. I mean, we didn't really talk about specific deer or anything like that because on a 3-day hunt, you're not going to get hung up doing that, but he did have some pretty nice deer here that he was hoping we'd get a chance at. It just didn't work out for us on this trip. I've got to get back to the farm and make a few preparations for the late season hunting. Maybe move a couple blinds, get things in order, get some truck cameras out. We can figure out what's going on there. I've got to know very specifically what's going on that property. Like I said on a recent episode, I just can't go out there and go hunting because the risk of bumping deer off those plots is way too high, and you don't get away with any mistakes. The margin for error is really thin, so I've just got to make sure that before we go in that there's a buck there that we would shoot that's on a daylight pattern, and then we'll make our move. So I've got to get ready. We had a good time, Ethan. Time to go back to the real world. I guess Nebraska is kind of the real world too, right?
I don't know.
Ethan's actually from here, folks. He grew up in Kearney. We're just outside of Kearney. You didn't grow up here, though.
No, I grew up in Northeast Iowa.
He was born here. He left early. He was just a toddler.
I was smarter than most people. I just decided to leave right away.
He toddled his way out of here when he was like 6 months old. Well, we appreciate you joining us. We'll see you right back here again. Boy, it's going to be a few days now because I'm not hunting, but for sure within a week, we'll see you back here for the next episode of Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. Remember to always dream
big.